your mind.
Good evening and welcome to Open Your Mind Radio. You have myself, Alan James.
And myself, Stephen George. Good evening.
Good evening. It's Sunday the 17th of June 2018, and before we say anything else, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Yes, happy Father's Day. Fine, happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Right, happy Father's Day to you and me.
Yeah, and me and everybody else. Okay, yeah. Okay, so happy Father's Day anyway for all the fathers out there. So, okay, our guest on the show tonight is a lady called Kate from Karma Hemp. Kate has been on the show before. A couple of years ago, Kate came on, and basically we're going to get an update from Kate on what's been going on Karma Hemp. Okay, so we're gonna have Adele. She's going to be talking about homeopathy. There was a course on during the week on the Wednesday, and basically it's also going to be an interesting subject. I think she's got involved in it herself. She's an ex-nurse. So Steve's going to have the bio for that. We're going to be talking to Adele later now. Right, okay, so let's crack on. We have a few things to talk about, but before we do anything, let's find out what the communication channels are.
Okay, communication channels, everybody.
The communication channels are email info@oymireland.com, by phone 046 927 1212, and you can also contact us direct through the OYM chat room.
Yes, the OYM chat room can be found at oymradio.com, and you will see, actually, if you do visit oymradio.com, you will see all the relevant links on the left-hand side to all the usual bits and pieces, all the forms and modes of communication. The phone number, which is 046 927 1212, and of course, if you're ringing from outside the Republic of Ireland, it's 00353 469 27 1212. And we also have the usual links there to the anti-social media, which is Facebook. I'm just looking at it now. We do have the Facebook, we have the Skype, we have the Twitter. I'm not seeing the MeWe. We're going to have to get onto the web designer. We are on the MeWe platform as well, and if you want to join us there, just go to mewe.com, mewe.com, and type in OYM Radio or OYM Ireland, and you will find us. And as we have said before, MeWe is kind of... It's very similar in many ways to Facebook, with the exception of, well, there are several exceptions. The main one being that they're not tracking your every move and trying to bombard you with advertisements and facial recognition technology and software. So yeah, it is a growing platform. We are on there, both with OYM and both on our own personal accounts as well. And I have to say, it is gaining in popularity and momentum. So if you fancy just maybe getting away from Facebook or just looking at an alternative to Facebook, mewe.com, do check it out there. We get no money at all. We're not sponsoring it. We're just saying it is an alternative. Also, we have People's Internet Radio. We're on there as well. We're going to monitor the chat room for questions for our guest this evening. And yeah, just check out our own website. As I said, there are a lot of links on there, and the most important one is the email, info@oymradio.com. So if you do have any information that you want to fire us off, either during the show or during the week, just to say hi, maybe a little bit of news or a review of anything at all, just to fire us off an email. We always appreciate those.
Brilliant stuff. Okay, let's get cracking in on the bits and pieces that we have here. The first thing is it was on the irishtimes.com website, and it's saying that the UN backs calls to make housing a constitutional right in Ireland. Well, that's what we should have. It says here, housing is an issue of our time right now, and Irish crisis is solvable, says UN reporter. The United Nations has backed calls to make housing a constitutional right in Ireland. The UN Special Reporter for Adequate Housing said a good starting point to tackle the country's housing and homelessness crisis is to either constitutionalise the right to housing, or failing that, legalise the right to housing. Well, I totally agree. Do we have enough houses? I know there's a lot of houses boarded up and a lot of houses are empty. And I believe there's quite a lot of houses could be used and people could be put in them. But the main thing is, as people know, is to stop the evictions. Why are we evicting people from homes and then boarding them up and leaving them there? Well, we know why. We know what the banks are up to, and the vulture funds and everything else. That should be stopped straight away, first and foremost. No evictions to take place. People stay in their homes. And then any homes that are boarded up should be reused, tidied up, clean, painted the whole lot, and then used to put people in them. It's that simple. I mean, but, you know, will the government actually do anything about it? I don't know. I think it's just controlled by the banks. That's it, you know. And when the banks say jump, the government says how high. Anyway, off to you, Steve.
Yeah, some news in from Thomas Williams. Thomas from Truth, Honour and Integrity. He says, okay, things are getting real ugly globally right about now. Threats everywhere. He said Trump is in real danger. That's Donald. All factions going into meltdown. The G7 group are getting all testy. And he says, be aware of backlash on the public via false flags. Have cash in your pocket and avoid large venues. So obviously we were going to throw a big OYM pool party, but we can't do that now because obviously we have to avoid large venues. Yeah. So we were actually just discussing this last night. So there's a lot going on. Things are kind of getting escalated as per usual. You know, every now and again we hear of things that are happening, but it seems to be kind of ramping up now at the moment. And we did discuss a missile there last night. I'm not sure exactly who fired this missile, whatever it was or wherever it came from. I know we were actually we kind of mentioned it, but seemingly Donald is he's getting a little bit. I think his feathers are getting a little bit ruffled as well. So yeah, keep an eye. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. And if you do kind of watch what Thomas is saying, yes, but you know, keep an eye on the show over the next couple of weeks because you know, there could be some new revelations.
Okie dokie. And the EU, this is the new thing that's come out. The EU wants to push through a copyright directive that will enforce a link tax, meaning you'd have to pay big money to do a YouTube video with sources. The directive could also make memes illegal, as well as live streaming, games, blogging, satire, YTPs, you name it. So there's a website called saveyourinternet.eu, and apparently this is going to happen in about 11 days. It's so quick that they're trying to push it through. So there's a website called saveyourinternet.eu, and yeah, I mean that's quite serious. That's quite draconian. That is, if the EU want to push this through. I mean, talk about stopping free speech. So I don't know where everybody's going to be at from now on regarding if you want to do live streaming or everything else. I mean, that's a bit too much. That is, really is. But we'll have to keep an eye on that. Right, Steve.
Okay, we met David. David was the winner of the auction yesterday. We had a nice meal and a good chat. The winning auction prize, as was previously mentioned, was dinner with ourselves. And all funds raised were going to the 2 food banks for struggling families. So thanks very much to David and the winning bid, and also to Dennis and Dougie for also donating to the food banks. We will be doing a shop with Aisling from the Mead Food Bank next Saturday. We're going to be hooking up with Ken as well. That is Ken Smullen, and he's going to be driving up to us within the next couple of weeks to do some food shopping. And he's going to be with us for his food bank appeal, and that is down in County Clare. So yeah, so a big thank you to everyone who obviously donated the money, and it is going to 2 absolutely fantastic causes. So we will take some pictures, and just to, you know, for as we say, for transparency, and just to let you know exactly what has been done, and you know where the benefits are going. We were going to put up a picture of our meal with David last night, but David he just kind of said, you know, no, he was happy enough just to, you know, to be there and have be in our company, and he said he didn't want to be really putting himself out there. So you're going to have to take a word. We had a lovely meal.
We had a lovely meal. We should have took a photo of what they do on Facebook, the dinner.
No, that's just too cheesy. I'm sorry.
It is, yeah. Okay, well, it did take place, and we were talking to David today, actually, on email. So, fair play. Good night last night, and the money's gone to a good cause. How's your week?
I have to say, not too much to report. As you know, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners, long-time listeners, will know as well, my father-in-law passed away a couple of weeks back, and we've had some reports. Now, I don't know if this is if it's, you know, I don't know if this is normal or paranormal or whatever, but my mother-in-law has noticed in her home that since he passed away, like obviously she's still in the home and she's on her own, but there's a lot of things and they keep falling over, like picture frames and stuff, like stuff that would never normally fall over and hasn't fallen over before, and they're just kind of tipping over. And now my kind of reaction is, I think it's his way of just letting her know that he's still around, although we can neither prove nor disprove that. So I mean, if anyone has any thoughts on that, I'd love to know them. And also my daughter, we were told before by a certain individual that my daughter would have the gift, that she would have psychic tendencies. Now I suppose a lot of young children do, but obviously as we grow up we forget, or it's vaccinated and it's fluoridated, and we obviously lose whatever gifts we have. But she woke up one of the nights and she came into our bedroom and she was just kind of mentioning that there was someone in the room and she was tired, and someone in the room, and they kept coming over and looking at her. And so she came in, and my wife was concerned, so my wife went into the room. I didn't, because I was real brave, you see. I stayed in the bed. So my wife went in and she just kind of said out loud, "Dad, if you're here, Holly's okay. She's okay, just she needs to go to sleep now." And she said that she had experienced kind of a presence as well. She did kind of feel that her father was around. And when she said, that everything is okay and, we need to go to sleep, she said the feeling that she had a presence, it just kind of disappeared. Now, I don't know if that is just wishful thinking or if anyone else has experienced something like that. And actually during the week as well, and she asked me to ask this question, just to kind of put it out there to people. After a death, has anyone experienced angels, seeing an angel? Because she's not sure if she actually did see an angel during the week, or if it was just kind of her mind playing tricks on her. But she did say she woke up at one point in time, and there was a figure in the room. She wasn't afraid of this figure, but this was midweek. So she wasn't afraid of the figure, but it looked like a 6 foot tall individual, and she said it was like as if there were wings, but they weren't out. They weren't kind of spread out. They were kind of like folded in. Now I don't know whether she actually dreamt, but she thinks that she was awake. So I don't know. I mean, if anyone has lost anyone, has anyone had any of these experiences? Things tipping over, kind of strange things happening, maybe seeing figures?
That normally is a sign that spirit wants to get your attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
To tell us where the money's hid, like, is it?
Yeah, I don't know about that. But normally when you get things moving and stuff like that, or knocks and stuff like that, it's normally a sign that they want to get your attention. And what you can do is just acknowledge them, acknowledge that they're there. Okay, yeah. I understand you're here, and that seems to sort it out, They're just saying that. I mean, your father-in-law could be saying, look, I'm over here, I'm just letting you know that I'm over and I'm fine, and, trying to get your mother-in-law's attention. So all she has to do is acknowledge it and then see where it goes from there.
Yeah, okay, that's I'll pass that on. Outside of that now, it's been just kind of the usual humdrum week, back and work and all this carry on, and enjoying the warm rain. Yeah. How's your week?
Yeah, okay. Well, just a couple of things before we bring our guest in. Now, there's two people that were on Facebook during the week, and one was convinced that the man went to the moon, that we went to the moon. And basically, the reason why I posted up a video about 3 or 4 astronauts actually saying and admitting that the furthest they've ever been is low Earth orbit. And of course, if they're saying that they've only been to low Earth orbit, that man has, then how come we went to the moon in 1969? So anyway, I'm happy to keep an open mind. If it's proven that man went to the moon, then I'm happy to change my, my thought process on that. But as far as I'm convinced, we didn't. I reckon it's a big psyop, just to get America ahead of the Russians in the space program. And this lady was so convinced, but she obviously was coming from an academic, indoctrinated background. And she didn't look at the whole kind of science and the psychology of it. Maybe she did. Maybe she just convinced herself that man went to the moon. But there's a few of the people there that were kind of agreeing with me and going, "Oh yeah, this was fake and everything else." So anyway, I'm not getting into arguments with people. If they, at the end of the day, it goes back to their belief system. really the content is irrelevant. I kind of said, look, whether man went to the moon or whether the moon is made of cheese, it's irrelevant. It's the ability of somebody to challenge their belief system and entertain a thought. You know, we talk about the fluid belief system. So I didn't really, the subject matter wasn't relevant. It's how she should challenge her belief system. And she was just so stuck in the man went to the moon and that's it, you know. I left it at that. There's no point getting into arguments with people like that, folks. That's where they're at their, at that moment in time, and I left it there. The other thing was another person came on, and we talked about the device that Walt Silva gave us. Walt's device came in during the week, the one that apparently saves electricity, and I said that, Walt gifted us this device, and the guy wanted to correct us and said, no, the word should be gave. And I said, well, no, we say gifted, because if somebody gives us something free, we always say gifted on OYM. Now, if he listened to our shows on a regular basis, he would have known that we say gifted and not gave. So we did kind of say to him, well, look, if you listen to the shows, you'll find out that it's all about we always say gifted, you know. And secondly, anything outside of the power cable does not affect the electricity. So I said, well, let's see if it does. Let's find out. I put it on the electricity cable, as per the instructions from Walt. And then, you know, in 2 months' time, when the power bill comes in, we'll have a look at it and see what happens. Now, Walt said that this device not only saves on electricity, but it said that he said its shungite is psychoactive. So it reaches to thoughts and intentions. In your case, I told it to clean and clear house and property of negative energies and entities, and also instruct it to provide complete earthquake protection for house and property and everyone in it. So not only does it apparently save you energy and your electricity bill, but it does all that as well, which is quite interesting. So we will keep you posted. Walt and Nancy Hopkins are going to be on the show in a few weeks' time. So we'll get Walt in again and we'll talk about the actual device and other bits and pieces like that. Right, let's get our guest on. Our guest is Kate from Karma Hemp. I'm going to be talking to Kate about getting an update on what's been going on. But before we get Kate in, Steve's going to give us a rundown on her bio.
Okay, for over 10 years now, Kate have been growing hemp on their sustainable farm, and their passion for this incredible plant has allowed others benefit from its wonderful product and enjoy an increased healthy lifestyle. Hemp is an amazing plant with remarkable qualities. It can clothe, house and feed us. They've been growing hemp for all these reasons. The family farm in County Monaghan allows this crop to be grown naturally and enjoy the Irish sun. The Irish sun, wind and rain. Before they harvest its incredible juice at the height of its growing season to capture the very best. 1 portion of Karma Hemp juice per day can refuel your body, it says, boost your immune system, increase your energy levels and contribute to the overall good health.
Brilliant stuff. Good evening, Kate. How are you doing?
Hello, Alan. Stephen, how are you doing?
Irish sunshine, Kate.
I know, we had whatever it was, 3 exceptionally sunny weeks, didn't we
yes,
already?
We did.
I'm hoping that it'll come back. But thanks for the introduction, and I do have to correct you, and it's always funny when people say Karma Hemp, because it's actually Karma, K-A-M-A, which is actually an ancient word for love, believe it or not.
So the R is silent, is it?
Well, it's not in it at all.
It went missing. It's Karma Hemp. Okay.
Put it back in, will you?
We'll have to correct that. Well, let me take out the R, and it's now called Karma Hemp. Right, okay. Karma Hemp.
And Marcus.
Sorry?
I said Kate and Marcus Karma.
Ah, see, there you go.
And is the R silent in Marcus? Is it Marcus?
Marcus. Right, Kate, but listen, we haven't had you on in about 2 years. That was the last time you come on the show, and it was phenomenal that we noticed that after you came on the show, we didn't know about Karma Hemp until you came on the show. And then a few days after the interview, all I was seeing all over the internet and Facebook was Karma Hemp. For some unknown reason, I don't know why. Do you want to give us an update on what happened after the show?
Well, I can't believe it's already 2 years ago, and a hell of a lot has happened since then. And from when we started, okay, that was more than 2 years ago, but from when we started, have gone from going one tiny little acre to this year we're putting in 40 acres. So yes, of course the show had a very big impact on our sales directly. And that has in turn had an impact on the amount of juice that we manage to harvest and capture in any given year, or in those years since we started and since we last spoke to you. The word is out actually, and of recently, even more recently than the last time, like in the last maybe 6 months, there's been like a cracking open of some barrier that was there, that kind of suspicious barrier that there is around hemp, around the plant itself, has finally been broken open. And I think the work that some of the lobbyers are doing in regards to the stronger medicine has opened up everything for us, for the hemp medicine, or the hemp. I mean, the juice is food. Let me get that straight. It is a food product. It isn't medicine, but it does contain the medicinal parts of the plant. So yeah, it's just suddenly blossomed for us, which is great because it's been a real hard slog. We've gone from the juice, it is liquid, but it's frozen, if you follow that.
Yeah.
We've gone from just having that one product to bringing in the freeze-dried version, which is encapsulated. So it's sold in jars of capsules. To this year, we're planning on just bringing out the powdered version, just a dry powder mix. And then we're also creating a carbonated drink. So it in a bottle, so that's where we're going. We're kind of opening up, trying to bring more products to the market and, really take note of what people are saying and bring that back to the company to develop further products around that. So to bring them to, so it's kind of a give and take between the market, between the consumer and the company. So one feeds the other, if you know what I mean, that the consumer says, why don't you try, like not everybody likes capsules, for instance. Why don't you try just bringing a powder out? And it's like, okay, that's easy. We can do that. So we feed off each other.
Yeah, well, the beauty, Kate, I've actually used some of the powdered products before, the likes of spirulina and stuff like that. And I have to say that even the likes of spirulina, and I'm sure that the hemp will be the same, if it's in a powdered format, it can be used in so many different ways. In a glass of water in the morning, sprinkled over yogurt, over a breakfast cereal. I reckon that will definitely be a winner for you.
It's true. And incidentally, I was in LA and I met a man who was very much involved in the introduction of spirulina, and he told me that was introduced to the market 30 years ago, which was interesting from our perspective because we're trying to, the hemp is a brand new product on the market. The hemp juice is a brand new product. It's never been on the market before. And I'm kind of going, oh my God, 30 years.
Yeah.
I think spirulina has been really only in my consciousness in the last 10 years, I'd say, even though it was introduced to the market 30 years ago. So I really hope that the powder does benefit from the coattails of the likes of spirulina, which is a really good product as well, incidentally, let me say. But it's just that it takes a long time for a product to become that widely known as spirulina is, for instance. And not only is it the knowing of it, but it's the setting up the industry to be able to supply the world. I mean, 40 acres in County Monaghan is a long way from supplying a world market.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we did say on the show last year, and I mentioned it to you, it's just funny that when we went over to the website and I had a look and you were doing the capsules, and I said to you that the ice cubes was great because, again, thanks to you sent myself and Steve a sample of the ice cubes, which was great. And one of the things I said was about, wouldn't it be great if you had the capsules where people could just take them and and swallow them, and that's it. And of course, when I seen that you had the capsules, I thought, oh, that's brilliant. They've gone down that road. Now, just to confirm, the capsules, are they small capsules or are they like horse tablets?
Well, the ones that you're getting, Alan, they can be introduced rectally.
Yeah, because
they're quite manageable. I think there's one smaller capsule. You know what? I think they're number 1. There's 0 and 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're not massive, but nonetheless, that, you know, the coating, it is a vegetarian one. They sometimes can get stuck in your throat, and people don't like that, and I understand. I don't like it either. They, you know, that's why we were introducing the powder. But the capsules they are swallowable. They're not huge. You just have to drink plenty of water when you're knocking them back. You know, that's really all. No,
that's great. And what's the initial uptake on the actual capsules? How are people getting on with them? What's the feedback?
Well, we're mostly selling them on the website ourselves, actually. We haven't really introduced them to the wider market yet, because we're really working on the feedback, trying to get some information. Without a question of a doubt, the juice is our primary product, and it's the cream of the crop, if you know what I mean. The capsules are made from the freeze-dried juice, so all that's removed is the liquid part of the plant. And the freeze drying is a really good way of reducing the juice to a dry product without destroying the nutritional contents of the plant material. So from a production side of things, it's the best way to do it. It's better than drying with heat, or, you know, freeze drying is the top class drying mechanism. So nutritionally, they're exactly the same. It's just that they're small. So you have to take like 5 of them to be taking the right quantity, you know. So yeah, it's a lot to take, but you know, you have to. That's why I think maybe a spoonful would be better, sprinkled on your porridge, like you say, or your yogurt or whatever, would be easier to manage that way. But the capsules they're doing well for people who are long-term drinkers or long-term users. I think they're the ones who will, you know, if they're people who are dealing with a really serious illness, the long-term users will always drink the juice. But then there's occasionally a time when people need to go, or they want to just have something in their bag, or they want something convenient, and then the capsules are really, really handy in that situation. Or similarly, I think the powder will kind of join the capsules in that bracket as well.
Well, you mentioned the powder form, and myself and Steve are obviously very familiar with spirulina. So I assume that's what you're going to be kind of selling in the powder form. That you'll get a packet, and they'll just be able to take a spoonful out and pop it in the drink or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know about a spoonful. It's really strong stuff. It's probably it'll probably come with a tiny little scoop. You know, those wee teeny scoops and. Something like that. A teaspoon of hemp powder would be like almost a pint of juice. It'd be way too strong.
Wow.
We're talking serious concentration here. You know, it's very concentrated food.
Okay,
yeah.
And just to confirm for listeners who didn't hear the interview when you came on last, because they'll be asking about, you know, what's the story with the CBD and the THC and what's the difference and how do you farm your product. Do you want to just give new listeners or listeners who haven't heard the interview an overview of the difference and what your product is?
Okay, well, first of all, we grow our hemp under license. And the reason why we're allowed to grow hemp in this country is because it has below a 0.2% THC. So THC is the psychoactive part of the plant, and at that level, at that percentage, it's actually non-psychoactive. And it's mostly THCA actually, but maybe that's too much to go into. So the reason why. So when the THC is so low, the CBD is inclined to be a little bit higher. I mean, relatively speaking, it's Yeah, well, whatever. There's CBD in there.
Well, so what you're saying is because it's industrial hemp, the THC is farmed out of it, really.
Yes, exactly. To a level where it's completely and utterly acceptable, and it is accepted that it is not psychoactive at that level.
Yeah, It's only minute traces in it.
Yeah, exactly. So when the THC is solo, the CBD is inclined to be a little bit higher, I should say. So the CBD is also a medicine, and in fact, there would be some people that would say that the CBD is a more important medicine than the THC, or has equal ability to do therapeutic, to have a therapeutic effect. And that often what people would associate with THC is actually the CBD part of the plant. So there is a certain degree of confusion around what part of the plant is doing what. But I think because CBD is absolutely not psychoactive, or it isn't intoxicating in any shape or form, that it is easier to bring that through the process of the medicinal process and the food process as well. So it is recognised. We can put CBD on our label now. In the beginning, we weren't allowed to. So they're beginning to allow us to do that now, which is fantastic because people want to know, actually. I mean, we all know there's vitamin C in oranges because we've been told for a very long time. But we don't all know that there's CBD in hemp because that information is only just beginning to come out. It's very, very new information. So for us to be able to say, yes, there's CBD in the juice is a fantastic breakthrough for our product. And to know that we're not breaking any law or we're not being non-compliant, because the compliance is a big issue as well.
Well, okay. I was going to just say about if you had any interest in producing CBD oil, because the likes of Holland & Barrett are selling it, but the prices they're charging for 10 millilitres is just ridiculous. And as you're kind of going down the road with the CBD capsules and the ice cubes and the powder, I suppose the natural progression would be to actually offer CBD oil as well. And obviously if it's homegrown and you're a local business, it'd be much better for people to support you than obviously a big corporate company.
Well, you're not entirely wrong, Alan, but this, yes, we would like to make oil, but we would need investment in order to be able to do that. Okay, we could ship out our plant material and get it done in Eastern Europe or somewhere like that. Yeah. But the problem is when you reduce the plant to a concentrated CBD, you're also concentrating the THC. So that's a problem.
Okay.
So we can't actually import that back into the country. So it's a problem in the industry, and I don't know if you really want to go there. And I think really what I'm really trying to say is the juice is our primary product. It is a really good standalone product. It's not a medicine. It isn't trying to be CBD medicine. It's not trying to be CBD oil. What we're trying to do is bring the plant as a whole. So in the juice, you're getting everything. You're getting all the minerals and vitamins. You're getting all the chlorophyll. You're getting the full spectrum. You're getting 100% hemp. It's not diluted in any way. It's not 3%. It's not 10%. It is 100%, which actually is a real claim. It is a real claim that we can make. It is all hemp.
Well, the query I have with the oil, and the reason why I said it is because the likes of Holland & Barrett are selling it in the high street, so they're obviously shipping it in, and they've been allowed to ship it in. So the CBD oil, purely CBD and not the THC, So is it their manufacturing process that's taking out the THC, and hence why they can actually sell it over here in their shops? Is that the difference? I don't know.
Oh God. There's only one way of answering that question, truthfully, is by actually getting it analysed, finding out. I don't really want to give out about other people's products, Alan, and you're pushing me to give out about
No,
them.
no, I don't want you to give it out. I'm just saying that, I'm just observing the fact that Holland and Barrett are selling CBD oil, and I'd rather support a local company like yourself rather than buy it from a big corporate company. That's really where I'm getting to.
I know, I completely understand, and I do completely understand your question, and what's going on in the industry is complicated, and it's not that I don't want to answer your question. Of course, we'd like to do oil, but it'll always be something. We can't do it until we can have a process that can process without THC, okay? We cannot do that. Similarly, Holland and Barrett can't do it either, but I do know for a fact that products are being stopped coming into the country. I know that. I'm telling you that now. It is already happening. So also, there is far more CBD being sold on the open market than it is possible to be being made at this moment. So there's more CBD being sold than there is being made. How can that actually be? Yeah, it's very worrying, because there is CBD coming in from far off places that isn't from plant material. It's not taken from the plant, it's synthesized. And that's really worrying for the population. It's really important that the regulation comes in really fast and really quick. The problem for us at the moment is THC, but the bigger problem is synthetic CBD.
That's we have heard about this, that there are companies trying to jump on the bandwagon, and they're trying to sell it as organic or natural or whatever, and it's all synthetic. It's actually it's the wrong stuff. So it's so important for anybody who's planning to go down this road that they check out the company and check out the product, because you could be taking CBD and thinking, happy days, I'm going to be taking this, and it could be synthetic or rebranded or rebadged. Because any time there's an opportunity for people to make money, you can guarantee you're going to get bootleg products out there. And people taking CBD thinking they're doing well, and they're not. And this is why we have people like yourself coming on the show, because people know that you're legit and you're in Ireland, and what you're doing is all homegrown. And if people want to look at your products, obviously they can go online. I know that there's a massive increase in CBD, and it does help with the fact that like programs like this morning with Holly Willoughby and Philip Schofield, interviewing people that are taking the CBD oil and saying how beneficial it is. And of course, this lady recently in the news that got the approval for her medication, she was stopped at customs. It was taken off her, and they gave it back to her under a license, because it was a life or death situation with her son having up to 100 seizures a day. And another lady, I think we've got to the stage now, people are beginning to realise, even the general public, people, our listeners and the people in the alt media have known this for years, but more and more, the more it gets out to the mainstream media, the more people realise that this is a plant. It's not like cocaine or heroin, nothing like that. It's a plant that you can grow in your back garden, ideally, and you can medicate yourself if you want to. And people don't understand the history of the cannabis plant. They just go by what the papers and what the media say. And time again, I've spoken to people about do you know the history of the cannabis plant? And they go, oh no, I don't know the history of it. And I said, well, don't you think you should find out before you form an opinion? So you get into this argument or debate with people, who have an opinion, but you've done no research on it. So it'd be great to see down the line that when the legislation changes, and I'd like to think it will do, that will free up the likes of yourself and Marcus to actually produce the CBD oil without any ramifications from the government.
Yeah, and the regulations are really strict, but actually, like you say, you could go back one step further. That our right, and what was that about our constitutional right to a house? I would have thought we already had that, incidentally. I just wanted to say that. But the laws that were put in place to demonize, let's say, cannabis, were already unjust laws.
Yeah.
So actually, cannabis shouldn't even really be illegal. And the fact that we have to fight for its freedom, let's say, is completely unjust. And really, it's that what we should be looking at, rather than questioning why on earth is it a Schedule 1 drug? What is the meaning of this, and how did it get to that point? Whenever it was in the 1930s or whenever it was, that, which is within my own father-in-law's lifetime, that it has become so incredibly ingrained in the population worldwide, the demon of society. That those studies that were done were already rigged. The information that made it illegal, pushed it into illegality, they were rigged. And if governments are prepared to create legislation around rigged studies, what else are they prepared to do? Or why are they not questioning this?
Well, they won't. I mean, you know what the politicians are like. They all have a yellow stripe down their back because they won't do anything. It's all institutionalised, and they go in and they have to toe the rope, and it's all nudge, nudge, wink, wink, and a few things like that. I mean, look at the fluoride in the water, for example. I mean, they're medicating the population, and it's causing massive effect, Alzheimer's and everything else that people are getting from it. And people are still happy. It's gas how. We had a referendum there recently, as you know, a yes and no vote for abortion, right? Which affects probably about, I don't know, say it affects 5% of the population. And there was so much aggro on people falling out with each other over that affects about 5% of the population. But fluoride affects 100% of the population, and there's no arguments for that. And there's no referendum either to say, do you want it out of the water or in the water? And we're not getting that. So this is, when you look at what's going on in the society and people, you have to question it. We have questions coming in. I want to get over and get the questions going. So I'm going to pass you over to Steve. Steve.
Yes. Sorry, I'm just multitasking here. I'm trying to listen and type at the same time. Questions. Okay, where are we going to go with the questions? Dougie wants to know, Kate, is hemp soap any good for scalp conditions?
The hemp, you mean CBD soap? I guess it depends. He's probably talking about the soap that's on our website. It's worth a try. It's very, very mild soap. It's not going to be an extra irritant that, some of the commercially manufactured products are. It's worth a try. He could try it. But what might actually be better for him would be to drink the juice. It has a remarkable effect on any kind of psoriasis skin problem, actually. That might be a better option for him. He tried the soap, sure, but he could consider the juice as well. Yeah,
it might be a little bit tricky getting the juice, because I know Dougie he's actually in Scotland, and I know when it is shipped, it kind of has to be kind of kept frozen. So
yeah, but that is one of the beauties of living on this island close to the border. Our nearest post office is actually in Northern Ireland, so we can just hop across, post it in Northern Ireland, and it's there the next day.
Oh, even better. Chris just said he's actually just ordered some capsules. I'm guessing he's on your website now, and with a little bit of tongue in cheek, Chris wants to know, is the soap tasty? Yes, Chris, it's very tasty. Where to next? Joan is wondering, does Kate know Hemp Cooperative Ireland? She says Kate Carmody's in Listowel is a grower. I know she is a hard worker on the benefits of hemp.
Yeah, I know the Hemp Cooperative. I do indeed. Yeah, in fact, we're part of it. But it's mostly based further down the country, so we don't get to really hugely participate. We're a little bit far north. We're trying to start our own co-op, actually, the Ulster Growers Cooperative.
Also, yeah.
We haven't. That's where we're pushing towards. Yeah.
Cool. Dougie is also wondering, have you ever considered hemp tea bags?
Oh yeah, that's a great idea, Dougie. I'd love to get hemp tea bags, CBD tea bags.
Yeah, funnily enough, it's not on our license. We're not allowed to sell the leaves.
Ah, okay, that's a pity. That's a great idea.
Yeah, but we'll push for that. Tell Dougie we'll push for that.
Yeah, because I like my green tea rather than unbleached tea bags, not bleached tea bags, unbleached tea bags, and having CBD tea bags, that would be fantastic. Because I like my cup of tea, Steve.
Oh, you do like your tea. Okay, what's next? Peter says, question for Kate. The hemp oil that they sell for cooking and salads, etc. Can you tell me about that, please? And he says, can't get the good stuff here in Australia.
Well, that's a very good question, and it's one that really is constantly needing to be clarified. Hemp oil for well, actually, it's not supposed to be cooked. It's better raw. Is a really good quality oil, loads of omega-3 and omega-6 in the right balance. It's a great food oil. It is from the seed. It's a seed oil like sunflower seed oil or hazelnut oil. It comes from the seed. There isn't any CBD in it. The CBD is only activated in the seed when the seed begins to grow or sprout. So the oil itself, the seed oil itself, has no CBD, but it's a good food, excellent food actually.
Yeah, because I think people have to be careful with the difference with hemp seed oil and hemp oil. I think there's the difference with the CBD. There's a difference with that, as far as I know, and they just have to kind of, because some people sell the hemp seed oil and they call it CBD, and it's a different thing altogether. So I think they have to be careful with that. But yeah, God, the tea bags, that would be brilliant. So what's tell us what the plan of attack is for Karma Hemp now. You've obviously grown in the 2 years, you've expanded the business and you've got into your capsules and obviously the powder. And so what's your plan of attack for the next 2 years? We might get you on in 2 years' time and say, remember the last interview we did?
What we're doing at the moment, we're up to our eyes developing the business so that we can take an investment so that the company can move to the next stage. I mean, we have grown it organically to this point, but at this point we really need to commercialize the business so that we can go global. That's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but it isn't actually. It's the truth. So that we can take a bigger step into the wider market. And in order to do that, we have to establish a new industry. Like take, for instance, the dairy industry at the moment. The dairy industry has been around for a very long time. I would say there's billions of money gone into, even in this country, into creating that industry. So every dairy farmer has invested so much money, whatever it is, in his dairy. So we're at the very, very beginning of that. So imagine being the first dairy farmer to bring milk to the market. We're the first hemp farmer to bring hemp juice to the market.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of phases, there's a lot of steps to go through before we can actually really start producing the juice on a large scale, while still managing to remain tight and close to our own roots and beliefs. I mean, we don't want to be a global industry that's, broadly, hugely affecting monocultures of hemp. That's not what we want. We want a really good product that's, of course, can be grown. Incidentally, Ireland, because of the rain, is a fantastic place to grow hemp for juice. If you look at hemp being grown in Europe or sunnier climes, it's not anything as leafy as our hemp. And also, I just wanted to bring the point back to the milligrams of CBD. What's really important is what's really important in any product that's being sold is the number of milligrams that is being sold, right? So if it's being sold as 3%, you have no idea of how many milligrams that is. So you want to know, is it 10, 15, 20, 100, whatever, So people need to be able to actually stand in their shop and be able to ask the retailer how many milligrams of CBD is in this product. And they shouldn't be afraid to ask that. They shouldn't be afraid to say, I can't understand what 3% means, because it doesn't actually really mean anything. The important thing is the number of milligrams, and that needs to be brought to the consumer. What amount of milligrams of CBD are in this product that I want to buy?
Yeah, well, there's a question on the chat room here, and I just want to answer that from Joan. And I'm not promoting Holland and Barrett, by the way, but I just want to say I do have their bottle here in front of me, and it's a 2.5 potency at 10 milliliters, and it's about 20 quid to buy, which I find it's too expensive. But that's so it's a potency that you need to look at, and they'd also do a 5% potency. But I know I was in contact with somebody that they offered a 10% potency as well down the line. Steve, you got another question there?
No, just in relation to that, Graham actually said on the PIR chat, thanks Graham, he said the Holland and Barrett CBD isn't authentic oil, it's a compromised product, he says.
See, that's the trouble, you see, you know.
That's what I was trying to say without saying it. I'm glad he said it.
Yeah, okay. No, that's and this is the thing. When people are buying the product, you need to get it from a source as much as you can. And I know what you're talking about your business model. You want to go global, but you need to have the manufacturing and the production in place to do that. Because if Tesco's or if somebody turns around and says, right, Karma Hemp, we want you to supply all their stores in the UK. If you don't have the production run to be able to do that, then you won't be able to do it. It's that simple. So you have to match the business coming in to the production that you can produce. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And you want to get your product out there, obviously. Ireland, again, 4.5 million people in Ireland. There's business here. But, I mean, when you're dealing with the UK and you're talking about 68 million people compared to Ireland, that will really open up your market. But people have to understand that you have to match your production to the demand. Otherwise, you won't be able to produce that kind of product for the shops or maybe for the big retailers. I don't know whether that's where you want to go with to get into the main retailers. Is that your plan?
Well, up to last year, we have sold. Well, up to today, I should really say, we've sold each year's production, right? So we've sold out everything. We're not sold out yet, but by the time we're coming to harvest in August, September, we'll have sold out from last year. We haven't done any mass advertising or. We just kind of promote the website, and we do this kind of thing, I suppose, as well. And from word of mouth really is where we have managed to sell all our juice, basically. That has a cap, I guess. And at some point, when our production outmatches our local consumers. I mean local Ireland and England. That's really what I mean, because we're selling across the water as well. So when our production outmatches that, then of course we want to be able to provide or to offer the juice to a wider market. Yeah, of course we want to be able to sell more juice. It's a really good product. It actually does help people, and it does have the ability to. I don't want to say cure, but help people in their illnesses more than I would have even imagined when we started. And what sometimes people come back and say to us, I sometimes even question them. It's like, are you serious? Did that really happen? Like, for instance, one man, he's a new client or a new customer, new drinker, and he has blood pressure problems, and He says when his ears start to get hot and his cheeks get red, he knows instantly that he has to go and take a drink of juice. And from the moment that he drinks it, his blood pressure comes down. I mean, this is a man who has to time taking his blood pressure to be sure that he knows what, how well he is or how high his pressure is. He's constantly monitoring it. And he goes now, rather than going to take his pill or whatever, he goes and takes a drink of juice because it directly affects his blood pressure. So the hemp has the ability to clean his blood or to reduce his blood pressure in some way that I don't even understand. But I do know that CBD, or rather the endocannabinoid system, directly affects the cardiovascular system. So there's a lot to the science that I'm even still learning. But the feedback from our customers or drinkers is really phenomenal, and I'm really trying really hard to build up a portfolio, if you want to call it that, of where it really is helping people, so that you're not drinking it if you don't need to. Although I do think we all need to for maintenance. You don't maybe need to be drinking a huge amount, but just even 1 or 2 cubes a day, just for maintenance, just to keep those things as preventative. Look, allopathic medicine isn't a cure. They're never going to be cures. They're only temporary. Anything that your doctor might prescribe that's regular medicine is a temporary relief from a symptom that you might have. There's no medicine out there that's going to say, yeah, well, we'll cure that. So we're better off looking to something that will prevent ill health rather than trying to cure it when we have it.
Yeah, well, preventative maintenance is the way to go for everything. Let's deal with it before it actually gets any disease kicks in. We think we have to be, and we're getting more aware of that anyway. I think people are getting more aware of that. Right, Kate, we've reached that time. We're going to have to bring our next guest on. A big thank you for coming on the show. Much appreciated getting an update on what you've been doing. And I'm going to pass you over to Steve. Steve's going to get all your contact details. And again, maybe in a year or so, in a few months' time, whatever, if anything comes out or if you've got a new product, give us a ring, because I think this is very important that you are a local company, that you're in Ireland, you produce it, you can order direct from the company, guys. You don't have to go through a third party, and it's grown over here in Ireland, so you can't get better than that. But I'll pass you over to Steve, and Steve will get all your contact details. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, Kate, I want to say thanks as well. We do have the website address here, healingwithhemp.com. I have put it up on both of the chat rooms there, and for people maybe listening on the podcast, it's healing-with-hemp.com. You can just pop over there and you will see all the information and all the relevant links as well. Any other links that you want to throw out there just before you go, Kate?
Yes, karmahemp.com. Is it even easier to remember? www.karmahemp.com.
With no R. It's not Karma.
Karma Hemp. Brilliant stuff. All right, Kate, stay with us there for a minute. We're just going to go off to a musical break, and we'll be back after this.
This is Open Your Mind Radio on OYMradio.com and peoplesinternetradio.com.
Okay, we're back. A little bit of Kate Bush there, running up the hill. Good information there from Kate, healingwithhemp.com or Karma Hemp. We do apologise. There were some questions that were asked in the chat room there for Kate, which we didn't have time to get to, but I have actually popped them over in an email to Kate, and if she answers them, we will read out the answers next week.
Brilliant stuff. Okay, right, our next guest is a lady called Adele Bolger-O'Hora. Now, she's into homeopathy, and the last couple of weeks we've been advertising the homeopathy. I think there was a course or something on last Wednesday. Steve was reading out the information, and we got an email from a lady that we know well, Anne, who said, would we be able to get somebody on to talk about homeopathy, because I think it's growing, and I think the powers to be actually don't like it, because if you can heal yourself, then why would you want to take drugs and go to the doctor and all that kind of stuff? And people listening to this show, the listeners know what the system is like, and anything there where you can help yourself they don't like. So we will bring Adele on in a minute, but Steve's going to just read out Adele's bio.
Yes, I always get the hard ones. Anyway, Edel qualified as a homeopath in 2014 and became an Irish Society of Homeopaths member in 2015. Previously, Adele had a nursing background, becoming a general nurse in 1987, a midwife in 1989, and a public health nurse in 1994. She became interested in homeopathy when rearing her family as an alternative healthcare choice to conventional medicine provided by the GP. Her second child had sensitivity and chest issues. She was not thriving. She had worked with midwives in Germany who were using homeopathy with labouring women. That is how she got to be aware of homeopathy. Then she found a homeopath in Ireland and brought her child to her. She grew and thrived from then on. Adele used homeopathy personally in her rehabilitation after a car accident in 2009. This led her to study with the Irish School of Homeopathy, and she completed a 4-year training in 2014. Adele is a member of the Irish Society of Homeopaths, on board Alternate, the Irish Nursing and Midwifery Board, and a member of the Irish Nurses and Midwife Organisation.
Loads of qualifications there. Good evening, Adele. How are you doing?
Hello. Hello, Stephen Allen and the viewers, and thanks a million for having me on today.
No problem at all. Adele, homeopathy is banded around and people generally hear about it. And I know when I lived in the UK, I did go to a homeopath a long time ago. I have to say, it didn't kind of do it for me, but that could be just an individual thing with the person I went to see. But can you give us a bit of a description, expand it a bit more as to what people will expect if they go to a homeopath and what kind of treatment you do?
Well, look, homeopathy has been around since 1770 to 1845, and Henneman is the name of the founder of homeopathy to begin with, okay? So when Lister was there and he was beginning to get septic techniques for operations together and all of that, all these guys in Europe were studying together. So homeopathy has been around a very long time, and even there was homeopaths in the famine times doing very good things at the time. So today, homeopathy, it is enjoying a bit of a recovery at the moment, but all the same is under attack. Like other CAMS therapies, there's a bit of a threat there, because guess what? They all work very well for people, and people go there without really understanding the mechanisms that they work at the moment. Acupuncture, we know more about. And homeopathy we know less about in terms of physics, and that's where the confusion comes. But what's great for people is that it works.
Yeah, well, I will have to say this, that we use a device, myself and Steve have been trained using a device called the Pain Genie, and Richard Cumbers taught us how to use the Pain Genie, and we've done training on it. So we're actually trained in healing people with the Pain Genie, and it's but the background, it's based on Herings Law, and Herings Law, he was a homeopath in the 1800s, and he said that you heal from your head down, and your organs outwards and back in time. And what we do is we use the Pain Genie, and we treat people with the Pain Genie based on Herring's Law, and he was a homeopath. So we have a kind of that kind of understanding, but I know the subject matter is vast, because it depends on the symptoms you have, you know.
Yeah, and then with Herring's Law, Herring worked with Henneman at the time, and what they found was some of the poisonous substances that they had, if you dilute them and dilute them and dilute them down, that actually they're very curative in nature. And then this principle then behind the homeopathy is that similar symptoms cure similar things. So if you're coming out with, say, diarrhea, for instance, which is very common in young children, right? And there is a very good homeopathic remedy called arsenicum. So arsenicum is rat poison. We'd know it like that, arsenic. But in very, very dilute doses, it's curative, and it can be very powerful remedy for young children who it's called arsenicum in the homeopathic form, and it will get rid of your diarrhea and vomiting for the children.
Fantastic.
So, like with like. is, so the like part of it is that you vomit and vomit and vomit, and then you give something, then a homeopathic remedy, and then that would be similar in symptoms to what you have, and then that's where the cure comes from.
Okay, and on the bio that we just read out there, you said that your child had sensitivity and chest issues. And when you were over in Germany, and you brought your child to a homeopath in Ireland, and your child thrived and obviously got better. What was the problem your child had, and what cure, I won't say cure, but what process did you take using homeopathy?
Well, my child was very chesty, and chestiness is in the Irish population with the damp weather and the fact that in previous generations that there was a lot of tuberculosis around. And a feature of people, Irish people, would be a sensitivity to hay fever, or to hay, and then a very chestiness when they get sensitive like that. And that's exactly what happened to my child. So because I have a nurse background and a midwifery background, off I go to the GP, and of course what does he do? Prescribe the antibiotics and the inhalers. And what I noticed with my child is that she wasn't thriving. She wasn't getting fat, and she was definitely suffering as much as if I gave her nothing. So that's where I had the experience in Germany, working with a midwife on the labour wards, where she used homeopathic remedies to help progress the labours at the time. And I was very impressed with her. But of course I came from Ireland, and I didn't really know much about homeopathy at the time. So when it came to my child, then I went and I said, look, I've seen something that works. And I found myself a homeopath and brought my child to the homeopath. So in the first year, I saw the homeopath 3 times with that homeopath, in which she prescribed something for what the child had, which was the genetic stuff, the chestiness and the sensitivity. But she also prescribed a remedy, a second remedy, which was characteristic of that child. So this child was a child that was very bright and bubbly normally, but if she got sick, would just sit down on the couch and go to sleep for hours on end. So she got 2 remedies, one the inherited one and one the constitutional one, which is the one that is her character, how she adapted to this world. And between the 2 remedies, over the year, the child started to thrive and eat a lot more. When I brought her out into the fields, I noticed that she was less sensitive to the grass. And then when she did get sick, then she didn't lie on the couch as much. She kind of recovered much better. And so it is a longer process, so there's nothing magic with homeopathy. It's a longer process. You do need to bring your a child like my child to the homeopath maybe 3 times in 1 year.
Okay.
You get your remedies, 2 remedies that'll suit that child, specific to her, how she's adapted to this world, and as well of the symptoms that she has.
Okay, now
each child is different.
Okay, so you're a nurse, right? And so normally when we talk about the medical profession, it's very tunnel vision, narrow-minded. It's all about drugs and antibiotics, and you don't tell me about alternative medicines. That's all like, just nutty stuff that we don't, that doesn't work. So why you? Why you being a nurse? Why did you open your mind and wake up to it? I mean, I know your child was sick, but, did you not just say, oh, well, we'll just use the normal, I'm a nurse and we know the doctors are there and they're going to give out the drugs. Why did you feel that you wanted to try homeopathy? What turned you?
Well, what turned me was I'm a mother. And the toolkit that I knew as a young person training up, that toolkit, which is the allopathic medicine, the doctoring medicine, the acute medicine in hospitals, that toolkit wasn't working for me. So then I had a look at another toolkit, and that toolkit was homeopathy and the CAM therapies, which are the alternative therapies like Chinese medicine. And it's just that homeopathy, I had the experience from Germany, and it just happened to be the right thing at the right time. And the difference between the conventional medicine that we know and the alternative therapies, is that some of the alternative therapies, we really, the scientists still don't know how they work. How do they work on the electrical system of the body? And what we do know is that they work. And what we do know is that people go back for more. And then the other thing that we do know is that the scientists will catch up eventually. So we don't need to be afraid of trying other things if we see our children or ourselves not thriving. There are other ancient and old formats of healing that is there, like our natural therapies and our naturopaths and our Chinese medicines, and they work.
Okay, brilliant. Steve, you have a question there?
Yeah, just in relation to homeopathy. And this kind of question is coming from a recent experience that we've had with a family member. He was diagnosed with pneumonia, and then the pneumonia, as can and it did happen, turned into sepsis. Now, in the homeopathic world, would there be something that you could kind of throw at the likes of sepsis? Because I know sepsis is fairly serious, and like this family member was getting bombarded with antibiotics, but they didn't work on the sepsis. And I mean, in the homeopath world, is there something that could have possibly helped?
Well, you see, look at the hospitals have their place, don't they? Really?
Oh,
but
they do,
if you, for instance, are somebody that have had 4 or 5 antibiotics in 1 year, and you're still chesting, and the antibiotics are addressing some of the stuff, but not all of the stuff, then you're having a look at your immune system. And homeopathy is there to help the soil. The soil is your body. The soil is your soul. The soil is your mind. Okay? And that soil needs helping. And the homeopathy remedies address that. And that's why the symptoms, not just the chestiness that that relative has, but also what's going on for him at this point in his life that might make the difference between one remedy and another remedy that would suit him. So what the homeopaths would say is that homeopathy is all about addressing the symptoms, and those symptoms are mental, those symptoms are emotional, and they are physical, and that's to get a remedy that's specific to that person.
Very kind of holistic, the whole person.
Yeah, I did.
The whole thing, isn't it? Really? Yeah.
And
like that, you know, the film that you were advertising the last few weeks, the Just One Drop that was in the cinema there recently, and we had thankfully a full cinema. So we did, and 2/3. Were people who had no experience in homeopathy before. And so for a film like that was great too. Just send the message out that homeopathy works. And when you meet homeopathy, you meet something that is different and it works, and it will push your belief barriers all the way, because the scientists, of course, don't know how it works. And they can't explain it, and that's why the press is against it. It's like as if, you know, you believe in God or you don't believe in God. And yet people who believe in God will say, look, it's a wonderful thing and it brings great things to my world. And people who believe in homeopathy have that type of experience. They start off. A lot of my clients that come to me, I have to tell you, I'm absolutely the last resort, right? And people are sitting in front of me and they're saying, but you know what, I have no energy. Can you do something with me energy? And then they'd be listing off the tablets that they'd be on. And then I'd be saying, well, you know, come on, tell me what's happening you emotionally, what's happening you spiritually in your life. And then I get a story and I come up with remedies. And would you believe that in my practice I had started off with the practice with women and children. And then, to my amazement, with my audit, I have equally the same proportions. I have women and children, I have the husbands, and I have the grandparents coming to my practice. So it's a whole experience, and it started off with maybe the woman coming with the child, and then saying, listen, I need something too, what do you think? And then maybe the husband coming to me eventually. And so it's a whole It's a whole new concept. It's a concept people don't understand, but I can only say to you it's powerful, and it got me. I've moved from public health nursing, where I loved working in the district with everybody, and I'm now a successful practitioner on the district here in Dunshaughlin.
Okay, well, I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, because I do partly remember the session I had in the UK when I went to a homeopath. And I do remember distinctly her asking very personal questions, which I was very reluctant to actually tell, because I didn't know her from Adam. And that was personal information, which I said, well, I'm not really comfortable with these questions that you're asking. Because I know it's all got to do with it's not just the physical, it's the emotional and all that kind of stuff. But I just thought that she was asking too much personal questions for somebody I've just met 5 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah. And that's about a practitioner and a practitioner's experience and how comfortable you feel. And what I would say to you is that, homeopaths, when they're interviewing somebody, they won't expose you. Or, you can feel free to say, listen, I prefer not to go into that part of your life. I prefer to stick to this part of my life, if you don't mind, for now. And that's why when I say to you that you'll end up going to a homeopath maybe 3 times in the year, it's because that first interview isn't one of those interviews where you're going to expose yourself, and nobody's asking you to expose yourself. And then, of course, they will invite you over time that, is there anything else you'd like to share? And that's okay if you don't want to share, because honestly, the remedies, it's how you say what you're saying that's very important. And that's why you see a lot of homeopaths writing an awful lot down on paper, because they're trying to capture how you say what you're saying, because that's as important as the actual symptoms you're saying.
Yeah, I just think it's important for people to know.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Because I just think it's important for people to know that if they've never gone to a homeopath, that you will be asked personal questions. Now, obviously, you have to decide yourself whether you want to tell and give any personal information, because this day and age, you can't be too careful because of data theft and information and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not tarring any of the homeopaths with that, but look, this day and age, if anybody can actually rob information and use it, then it'll be done. And it's not even the homeopaths, but maybe the homeopaths might leave a book down while they're in a coffee shop, and something could steal their bag, and it could be full of personal information. You just don't know. So that's the only thing I'd say.
Well, the one thing to reassure you, Stephen Allen, is that the Data Protection Act is in now at the moment. All the homeopaths through the Irish Society of Homeopathy are being encouraged to go online and do the 90-minute program to keep them up to date as to where they keep their records, how they keep their records. Because personal information is very exposing for people if it's put into the wrong hands. So that's what the Irish Society of Homeopaths is about. It's about, encouraging homeopaths to register with them and to keep up to date with the standards that the European Union are using for homeopaths, as well as the ethics of practice and the code of practice, which is very important to protect people and to keep at the center of their practice is the client. The client's story is very important to how they're going to heal.
Okay. With the likes of food that we eat, and I say, food loosely, because we don't really have food these days, proper food, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of people coming through your door with different ailments. Obviously, the biggie at the moment is the cancer. And I know you can't say the word cure, because unless you have a medical license, you can't say the word cure. But how are you getting on with people that might have cancer, and how are you treating that? What's the process for that?
Well, look at the hospital system and how they're approaching cancers is powerful, isn't it? Really, and the rate of people surviving over 5 years is improving all the time, and their knowledge base is improving. So somebody who would be having all those therapies like chemotherapy and radiotherapy would turn up at my doorstep, and I'd be saying, well, what would you like from homeopathy? What do you need? And very often people are saying, look, I need more energy. I'm not able to eat. Have you got something in your toolkit that will help me? And then you have a look at prescribing things that will help them improve, say, with their feelings of anxiety as a result of the therapies, and that would be who they are as a person, how they have conducted their lives. That constitutional remedy is what we call it, that we prescribe for the children when they're very young, can equally help when in older years, the very same remedy for occasions where the people have health challenges. The other thing that you can help with are a very powerful system in homeopathy, and it's called tissue salts. And tissue salts in very small doses daily, where for somebody who can't eat and drink, can be very powerful as well, will not interfere with the medicines that they're on in any way. And that's what's very important, because in some respects, as the scientists say, that's only drops of water and there's nothing in it. In other respects, if you have been to homeopaths, those drops of water are powerful, and they can actually bring back some of the energy that you're looking for, so that you get to the end of your cancer therapy, or you get to the end of your radiotherapy, and that you've survived.
Okay, what about replacements for cancer therapy?
What do you mean in replacements?
Well, you know, there are people that will decide that they don't want to go down the chemo route because they just don't want to do it. Or there's people that might be sent home for palliative care because there's nothing that the doctors can do or the hospitals can do. Where would homeopathy stand in that situation?
Well, again, you know, homeopathy is for your lifelong, and it goes from cradle to death, right? And all of that is part of an energy exchange. And so somebody who has been sent home and have been told, look, we're not going to do any more cancer therapies on you, or as in chemotherapy or radiotherapy, we want you to go home and live the best life you can while you're here. Then there are homeopathic remedies, and some of the doctors in London are like Miriam Shava are getting very good results and very good survival rates for people who are using homeopathy, mostly because they've been told we can't do anything else under the hospital system.
Okay, because obviously that seems to be a regular thing. I know my own father-in-law passed away from cancer. They sent him home basically to die because there's nothing they could do for him. And, you know, if at the time, had I known what I know now, then obviously the situation would be different. So I think, you know, knowing that there's alternatives out there, and it's not just a case that when the doctors say, we're going to send you home, there's nothing we can do, that they just pass away after that. You know, I mean, people should always try other things as well. We have questions going to come in for you here, Adele. So. I was just going to say, just to finish off, you know, death and dying and that other side of the life. Lots of people fear that death and fear the deathing. We all love birthing, don't we? I was a midwife on that side of life. We all dread the deathing. I was a public health nurse in the district, helping people to get through and live through, and their relatives live through a lovely deathing. And isn't that what the hospice movement is about? And homeopathy has lovely remedies to help people come to terms with the part of life they're at energetically, and not to be afraid about that part of life, because life is a continuum. It's from beginning to end, and we are all in that process learning. Yeah, okay, no problem. I'll just pass you over to Steve. Steve has a few questions for you there from our listeners. Steve.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Before I hit the questions, I'll just say, Joan, thanks for the comment, Joan. Joan said, in relation to Kate, I think it's Kate Cornell, she's trying to stop homeopaths from practicing. She's from Kilbeggan. She's now a practicing pharmacist along with her husband Morgan, and they run a pharmacy in Rathgar. Is that something that you've ever come across? People, kind of trying to shut you down and stop you from doing what you're doing?
Yeah, and they discussed that in the Just One Drop film. Laurel Chitton is the producer of that film, and one of the things that she found was that, amazingly enough, when they were pushing through that film, that she actually could get nobody to put grants and give her grants for her films, which was unprecedented because she had always funded producing her films with grants in the United States or from a big pharma or from, other independent sources. So what she found was that with homeopathy, all of a sudden things dried up, and she found that phenomenal, And like that, as a homeopath, that's why I think her message in her film, and my message today, is that homeopathy is powerful. It's very usable at home. On the turn of the century in America, when it was only the women with the children practicing homeopathy when antibiotics came in and became powerful, and it was the women with their children that carried homeopathy through and has it in existence today. That's how powerful it is at home. So yes, you will come across people who are skeptical, but then I'm skeptical. And it's okay to be skeptical, but then you cross the barrier and they are debunkers. So debunking is really, putting down my opinion and really not hearing what I've got to say about anything, which is unfair. It's great to be skeptical. It's unfair to be a debunker. I believe in homeopathy. You could say I believe in God. I'm at a different level to people who don't. And then, of course, by my very existence and by even talking at all, then I threaten their belief systems. And because I threaten their belief system in nature, in human nature, we want to put down different systems. Except in modern society, we're allowed to believe what we believe. We're allowed to exist and have the right to believe and exist in the same way that somebody else with a very opposing view has that right too. And that's where we excel in modern living. And we've got a much more improved society. And we can see that with the various referendums that have just passed recently.
Okay, and I think just going to echo what you said there. Joan is saying it's kind of a breath of fresh air to hear this lady coming from both sides and how she sees things. So obviously, the fact that you can see things from the medical perspective because you're a nurse, and also from the homeopathic side also. Good. Thanks for that comment, Joan. Dougie says he uses. This is going to testing your knowledge now. Dougie uses geranium, lavender and tea tree oil in his homemade cleaning products, and he's just wondering, would Kate or Edel, recommend using anything else?
In the cleaning products. Oh wow, he's great, and they're lovely and clean, isn't it? And lemon juice in water with soda bicarbonate. That's a lovely cleaner for a toilet cleaner, isn't it? Now homeopathic remedies. Oh, he's really testing me. I don't have a speciality in all the cleaning stuff at home, I'm afraid. But I have to tell you, as a mother, I have used the steam cleaning more often than I use any of the chemicals. So you could say that I'm a chemical-free zone in my house, but this is a personal stuff. It's not a homeopathic thing that I'm speaking about. And I'd use the Poulty machine, which is and Crutcher do another type of steam cleaning in the home, and it's wonderful.
And what about the...
well done. I'll be trying the geranium and the lavender myself at home. I know I've used lavender drops in water with apis oil for children with, the itchy eyes and the scratchy eyes with the hay fever.
Oh, yeah.
And they come in from the fields and they're scratching their eyes and you're pulling your hair out. What'll I use? You just get water and put apis from your remedy kit. Apis is bee stings. Bees, and one drop of that, or one tablet of that into about 100 mils of water, and dip your with 2 drops of the lavender, and you dip your face buds into that, and pop them on your child's eyes, and it's just absolutely wonderful. It's like night and day for the children, and there'll be no more scratching afterwards.
Okay, you just mentioned face buds. What are face buds?
Our face, for cleaning your faces, face pads.
Oh, right.
There's my nerves, Steve.
Sorry, you see, we wouldn't know about being men, we don't know about these things. You did mention, Adele, you mentioned sodium bicarbonate. I mean, we've kind of done loads of shows here over the years, and we've heard great things about sodium bicarbonate. But from a homeopathic point of view,
bread soda. It's bread soda.
Oh no, I know we're very familiar with it. Yeah, we're kind of advocates of it. But I mean, from the homeopathic side, what benefits do you know of sodium bicarbonate, bread soda, or whatever it may be?
Well, look, I would be using that. Well, I know that a teaspoon. I remember my grandparents. Now, here's me reminiscing with you. But my grandmother, if we had been eating too much sweets at Christmas time, she'd put a half a teaspoon of the bread soda into warm water, which would be about 100 mils of water, and get you to drink it. And it's absolute vile stuff to drink, but you'd have no pain in your tummy afterwards. And the equivalent in homeopathy remedy at Christmas time, when you've been overindulging or you have hangovers, is a thing called Nux vomica. And you can get it in your chemist locally, and you put 3 of those in 100 mils of water, and you sip it every 10 minutes for an hour while you're watching Coronation Street or one of those programs, and you'll find that your tummy will stop paining you.
Okay, well, thanks for that. Yeah, I'm a big advocate, as I said, of the sodium bicarb, because from time to time, depending on what food I eat, I generally have some indigestion. And a spoonful of sodium bicarb, I just put it in some cold water, drink it down, and within about 30 seconds, you will have the biggest belch you ever did in your life, but the irritation in the stomach is gone. You no need for these other products, the likes of this Gaviscon or anything like that. Sodium bicarb works every time.
I had some today, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, with a bit of acid reflux.
You must have been cooking a dinner yourself,
But I don't belch. I don't belch. I just take it. And that's it. There's something got to do with belching.
So the homeopathic remedy for the 2 of you to have in your pocket, right, or in your wallet, is Nux vomica. It's one of the homeopathic remedies. It's very powerful for, reflux, like you're saying, or and it works as well within an hour of taking it. Another one would be, if you've eaten too much fruit or vegetables and your stomach is very raw after that, and that arsenicum is another homeopathic remedy that's very powerful for tummies and settling tummies.
Could you just spell that one, the Nux Vom? I'm trying to just get that.
Nux, and then VOMICA.
And where do you buy that? Do you buy that in the local health shop?
Your local chemist will have it, and all the local chemists, if you go in and order a homeopathic remedy, they'll have it out the next day for you. So they all have that service now, and then mostly you'll see them as well in the health food shops as well.
Brilliant.
In your local health food shop. So kind of, just to keep it in mind, not all pharmacists are against homeopathy. What they find is that people aren't ordering it enough from them, and the more people order it from them, the more they'll get in.
Brilliant stuff. Well, that's it. People need to do their own thing. Now, I'm just going to sidetrack a bit, but this could be relevant as well. I want to kind of experiment, and I went out and got a few, the vitamin B12. I was talking to you during the week about the apricot seeds.
Yeah,
right?
that's right, yeah.
And we have a concern. So I did a concoction of different nuts, macadamia nuts, almond nuts, and there's another, cashew nuts. And basically, because I watched a few videos during the week, and what I want to be able to do is, if they're high in the vitamin B12 and certain vitamins, and the idea is if you take a natural organic yogurt and you put the nuts in the yogurt and then have the yogurt with the nuts, it's just a way of, getting more vitamins and enzymes and proteins in. But I realised after, and maybe you can confirm this, is that you mentioned it earlier, to activate like a nut, you have to soak it in water. And when you soak it in water, it becomes active and releases the enzyme, and then that's when you take it. But now I didn't do that. I just kind of crushed them up and have them. So I can still take them and still use them, but I think it's better from a natural point of view for people, if you want to do that, is to soak whatever nuts you're using, whether it's apricot seeds or whatever, and soak them overnight and then break them up, and because that activates the actual vitamin B12. But what we found out, and what we've heard about, and we can't confirm this, I'm sure they ship products over from the UK or from whatever country into Ireland, whether they're homeopathic medicines or whatever. Now, the problem is that the customs control have to scan the packages for any illegal items coming in. But if they're scanning, they must be using some kind of radiation to do it, like an X-ray machine. Now, does the X-ray radiation machine damage the product coming in? That's the question.
And I mean, it's a relevant question to homeopathy as well. Is if I'm going with my remedy kit through the airport. Do you know the security systems in the airport? Does that render it inactive? And some people will say yes, it is, and some people will say no, it doesn't. And just in my experience, I just haven't found that.
Okay.
But what I would say to you is it's great to tell me all about the seeds and the nuts and everything, but I'm not a nutritionist, so I can't tell you. So, but what I'm thinking of is if you're saying to me, I'd like something, and I'm thinking homeopathy, I'd be saying to you, there's a lovely product called New Era, and it is 12 tissue salts, and it gives you every salt that's in your cells that you need. Things like ferrous salts and calcium salts and magnesium salts. And it's a really easy product. You just take 4 of them every day, and it's cheap and cheerful. It's only about a tenner to buy the tissue salts, and to use that for times when you're lacking in energy and you feel, I'm very tired, and there's something that my diet isn't covering. My normal diet isn't covering, then the tissue salts can be very helpful.
Okay, no, I got it wrong there. Sorry, I meant B12 rather than, I think I did B12. Did I say B12?
Yeah.
No, B17.
No, you said
B17.
B12.
Sorry, B17.
You did.
Okay, B17 is the one that's in the apricot seeds, which is very good for fighting cancer. But again, one thing they say that the apricot seeds, if you take too much, you're potentially going to get cyanide poisoning. Do you have any homeopathy treatments that have B17 which are kind of safer?
Oh no, now you're saying you want to protect yourself against cancers, right?
Yeah.
And cancers, all of us walk around with 20% cancer cells in our body, but they don't turn into cancers. Okay. And so that's about the soil. That's about the soil, how you keep yourself, how much rest, how much are you walking, how much are you sleeping, where are your stresses coming from. And so a lot of rest, sleep and eating, enjoying yourself, laughing in the day, going out and having that 3% of your life that belongs to enjoyment. These are the things that will protect you more against cancers than all the supplements that we make lots of money on over time. And that would be kind of, so my message really is look after yourselves, everybody, in terms of eat properly and be judicious really about what you're going to eat and where you're getting your sources of food from. Make sure and get out and walk every day for half an hour, maybe twice a day if that's possible, and then make sure overall that you're having your 8 hours sleep every night.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And they're great protections against life going wrong in other ways. Cancer being one thing, car accidents being another thing. These are all signs that I'm overdriving myself in my life.
Yeah, there's a lot of people not getting a lot of sleep these days, and obviously the food that we're eating is not really food. So we have to kind of be aware of that. And I have been looking at stuff during the week about health and juicing and all that, but it's the emotional side.
Great.
It's not just the food, it's the emotional side, the physical side. We have to be aware of all that and deal with that, Do you have any more questions there for Adele, Steve?
No, actually, when Adele mentioned the new era, I remember years ago, I suffered until very recently, Adele. This year it hasn't bothered me at all, but hay fever. I'm a 40, late 40s, and I've suffered.
You're coming up to the speed limit.
I'm coming up to the speed limit on the back roads. Yes, I am. I've suffered with hay fever since I was 12, and somebody turned me on to the new era, the little salts for the hay fever. And
that's right.
I never had any luck with them, and I know that there are a lot of products that do great stuff, but I never had any luck with them, and I wasn't sure if I was using them wrong. And you're supposed to take one. I'd be taking the whole a handful of the things, and they never work. Are there some products that just won't work for everybody?
Well, yes, there are in that the new area tissue salts range and all their range is to help people with an everyday thing. But if you are finding as you're getting older, listen, I'm getting more sensitive again, then you need to go back and have a look at what originally did all your family have in terms of genetic inheritance for you, and then how did you adapt to this world specifically to you. So my remedies will be different to your remedies.
Yeah.
And then Steve's remedies will be different to Alan's remedies, and my child's remedies are all different to my remedies, because I am an individual, you are an individual, and what will cure one person won't cure another person in homeopathy. It's to match things like for like, your symptoms as close to the remedy that is chosen for you. And then that's where the lifelong package is about. That you've got something specific that I've found it with my children, for instance. Look at mine are all in their 20s now, right? So they've been through their sensitivities when they were 3-year-olds, their temper tantrums. I used the same remedies as when they were doing their exams and they had their leaving cert exams, and they were very stressed. I used the same remedies on them then, and I used the same remedies when their hearts were broken and it was their first love that they had lost, right? And so then the same remedies then will do them later on in life when they're trying to recover from childbirth, or whether they've lost their job and they're feeling rotten about that. So it's a lifelong package, and it's well worth doing.
Okay, so it follows you through life. That's brilliant. Okay, Del, we've reached that time of the interview. Big thank you for coming on. Much appreciated coming on and telling us all about homeopathy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass you over to Steve. Steve is going to get all your contact details, and you can tell people about your website and all, and where they can find you if they're interested in giving you a call and following this up. A big thank you for coming on, Steve.
And thanks again for the two of you for promoting the Just One Drop. It was very successful the other night. Thanks a million for all the exposure and for the support for homeopathy.
No
anything we can do to help and promote things, Edel. And we do have a link to your website, which is Residence Homeopathy Services Limited, rhsl.ie, if anyone wants to check that out. Are there any other ways people can find out more, or maybe book an appointment with you? Any other avenues?
I have a Facebook page. It's Homeopathy with Adele. It's the Facebook page, and I have a phone number 085 747 4590. That's my mobile number.
Brilliant stuff. Okay, Adele, just stay with us there.
All right.
Stay with us there for a minute. We're just going to go off to a musical break, and we'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, Alan's crying over his spilled milk or his wet nuts.
How many wet nuts?
Yeah. Okay.
I have to wet me nuts. Right, okay, now, Steve mentioned earlier at the start of the show about Donald Trump. And for people who don't actually know, there was a missile that was fired from the Winbay Island, Washington Naval Base, intended to knock President Trump and Air Force One out of the sky during the week. And I don't think many people, it's beginning to come out now on the internet, but I don't think many people actually know about it, that they tried to shut down, kill President Trump because of what he's doing. I mean, he's under serious pressure at the moment, and there's a number of factions out there trying to kill him because of what he's doing. So I wouldn't like to be in his shoes, but like, it's all going on at the moment, folks. It really is all going on, and well, we'll just kind of see what happens over the next few weeks. There's a lot of things on a daily basis. Things are happening, so trying to keep up with it is very difficult. But if there's any news, obviously we'll keep you posted. Now, we get asked on occasion about getting people on to talk about digital currency, bitcoins and all that kind of stuff. Get somebody on, talk about it, invest in it and all that kind of stuff. And we've actually refused doing that because myself and Steve believe that at the end of the day, if you don't have it in your hand, you don't have it. And as we've heard from Thomas, and I kind of agree with the principle of it, that if the factions are struggling and they want money, the best way to do it is to fool people into putting the money into digital currency. And there's been a number of these exchanges hacked and the money's gone. It's been taken. So, based on that fact, now I know banks are no better. Trust me, banks are no better. But at least you can go down to the local branch and take your money out with your ATM, and there is there's a guarantee there of insurance of up to 100,000. Now, as I say, I know it's fiat currency and everything else, but even with a normal bank, and that's why Thomas did say make sure you have cash on you, because if they do close down the banks and the ATMs close and you've no money on you, you're stuffed. So if you don't have it in your hand, you don't have it. Even if a piece of paper says you are the owner of this new car and it's only on a piece of paper, unless you have the car in your drive, you don't have the car. Alright? So that's why we're not doing and talking about digital currencies, because we don't want to promote them, because we don't believe they're doing it with the right intention. And we don't believe people should invest money in, especially when you don't have it, into it. I do have to laugh at some of these people on the internet going, you should have gold and you should buy silver and you should buy this and buy that. I mean, people are struggling just about to put food on the table. How can you go out and start buying silver and gold? And I know it's great in a bartering economy if the system does go down. But to be honest with you, I'm just lucky enough to buy food these days, let alone buy gold and silver. I don't know about you, Steve.
No, I just buy gold and silver.
The bling bling,
mostly
gold cheat.
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah.
But I mean, don't misunderstand what we're saying either. I mean, because of the fluid belief system, if we do find at some stage in the future that Bitcoin or those kind of things, the digital currency, do have a place, we will cover it at some point in time. It's just not very prominent on the radar at the moment for the right reasons, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, exactly. Now, our guest on the show next week is a chap called Ivor Cummings, and he's all about medical issues. I believe the understanding from his bio is that he actually went and did some research. He got diagnosed with a condition, and the doctor said it's X, Y, and Z. And when he looked into the research of it, it actually wasn't, and it was a wrong diagnosis, or the system was wrong, diagnosed wrong. So he went off and did his own research all about I think it's got to do with his heart. But we'll find out more from Ivor next week, and that's the guest on that's next week. And we have a few guests booked in, and we have more guests that's going to be coming on over the week, so we have to get them in. So it's all go, and thanks for your links you're sending them in. Fantastic. When I get a chance, I'll have a look at the links, and if it's relevant to go on the old unscripted script, we pop them on there as well. So there you go. What do you have planned for the week, Steve?
Nothing really. I'm just reading some stuff here on the chat room and people. I mean, I actually agree with Joan. Joan is just kind of saying there that we need to all meet up. But life is too short, and I mean, I'm sure we'll be all on for that. We leave that in the capable hands of Chris G on the chat room there. Chris G we can't call him the social director, but he was kind of the man, the instigator of the OYM, what do we call it? The supporters group. So I mean, we leave that in Chris's capable hands. But yeah, no, it would be lovely to just kind of, for us all to, before this whole thing goes to hell in a handbasket, just kind of all meet up and raise a glass and have a laugh. Would be nice, wouldn't it?
Definitely would be. And again, just a reminder, we're going to be seeing Aisling next Saturday for the food bank run down to Trim, and also we're supporting Ken Smollen on his appeal down in County Clare. Ken's going to be coming up this neck of the woods, so we're going to grab him and go supermarket sweeping with him,
The food run, it sounds like running with shopping trolleys.
Yeah, we do the food run. That lady apparently that you mentioned earlier, who's the pharmacist, Katie O'Connell, is it?
Cornell, yes.
Cornell, yeah. She's a Fine Gael person, apparently.
Enough said so.
And obviously being a pharmacist. I look at the news and sometimes I just despair of what's going on, trying to wake people up and educate them. It's like the two people I told you earlier on the show, who are just convinced, that it was, one person was convinced about the moon landing and the other person obviously hadn't listened to the show, so we said we call it gifting rather than gave.
Yeah.
But I don't kind of waste time. And what Adele just said there about homeopathy, your own mental condition is very important, emotionally, physically, and your health. So if you're going to don't get into arguments. Just walk away. Just, get away from it. Negative people. All that kind of stuff. Just stay away from it. Seriously, it's not worth it.
Plus, and we've said it before, you watch a lot of these soap operas. And
soap operas?
You're not, the soaps as they call them.
No, I don't watch soaps.
No, but not you. Not you. I mean,
okay.
No, did I say you?
I tried to tell you said maybe so.
No. I'm just saying, we have mentioned that some people do watch them, and when you look at the content of some of them, like if you're ever in a room and someone's watching one of these, they're never kind of very, happy and placid shows. They're normally kind of very high and intense energy, where there's obviously something going on, and it's obviously, there's a problem and an issue, and people resolve these issues with either violence or drink, and there's always something going on that may or may not reflect real life. But when you subject yourself to the likes of these soap operas 3 or 4 or 5 nights a week or 7 nights a week, whenever they're on, I mean, that can have an indirect effect on you as well.
Well, yeah, of course. These programs, these soaps are emotional roller coasters.
Yeah.
And I believe EastEnders, I've been told, is actually doing one of their episodes where there's a guy going around stabbing people or stab somebody, apparently.
Really?
So talk about real life. They're trying to, replicate real life. And, watching these programs, they just depress you. I just stay away from anything like that. And I just look at,
Teletubbies?
I like my car shows. I like my car repair shows, I have to say. I do like them. Oh, comedy. Comedy's always good. It's good for the old laughter.
Laughing is good for the soul.
Anything that's educational, I think it's very important. And funny enough, yesterday, a feminist, would you believe, a feminist of all people, a feminist asked me how I view lesbian relationships, and apparently in high definition wasn't the correct answer.
Okay.
Anyway, right, okay. From myself, Alan James, have a good week. Take care of yourself. If you have any news for us, let us know, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, stay tuned if you're on the People's Internet Radio stream. Steve Roberts is up next. So stay tuned for that. We're going to sever the stream here now. And I want to say thanks to everyone who's joined us on the OYM chat room and also on the People's Internet Radio chat room. It's nice to know that there are nice people there who are willing to let us into their sitting rooms or their bedrooms. There's not a lot of people let Ellen and I into the bedrooms, I can assure you of that.
Not even the women let us into the bedrooms.
Oh, no. So thanks for that as well. And anyone who's listening during the week on the podcast, we really appreciate that also. And it's great just being here every week, and I want to say thanks to each and every one of you. You have touched us, and hopefully we will touch you
in a nice way.
In a nice way. Yeah. So until the same time next week, take care and look after each other. Bye bye.
Open your mind.